Howdy, my name is David. I'm a KOK-PLAY Frontier from the Genesis Group, and today I want to give you guys some KOK-PLAY news. Here, this article. Okay, already y'all know my Korean isn't good, so I had to go to Papago to get it translated. Maybe the translation isn't perfect, but anyway, let me go through this. So, Blockchain Today reporter, all right, Jihe, all right, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, the world's leading asset management company, said the Ukrainian war will reevaluate the currency dependence of countries and accelerate work on digital currency. Absolutely. Krypton News reported on the 24th local time that in a letter sent by CEO Larry Pink and shareholders, the Ukrainian war and economic sanctions against Russia have ended a globalization that has lasted for the past 30 years. According to reports in the letter, Pink said Russia is essentially cut off from the global capital market, evaluating Russia's move to freeze foreign exchange reserves as an in unprecedented measure. He also added, in the aftermath of the Ukrainian war, more countries will look at their currency management and reevaluate their dependence on foreign countries, which is likely to accelerate the development of digital currencies. Now, look, like you had Germany. I remember when former President Trump was president, he used to blast NATO and blast Germany about you guys want me to protect you guys, but here you are, you got all this Russian oil coming into your country. You're just paying them, and you're not paying us properly to protect you. I'm not doing this, da 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 da. And tell you the truth, man, he was right. I mean, a lot of people dislike the former president, but hey, hate him or love him. Some people love him. I guess 47% liked him and 53% didn't, right? That's kind of what it seemed like. And so I tell you what, all of that's about to change, all this dependency, right? Where you might have countries, especially because they're going to get hit really hard with inflation and with food shortages and other shortages, that they're going to have to say, okay, we can't really rely, and with the supply chains disruptions, they're going to start having to make a lot of products domestically to be safe, just like with medication. You had meds that China produces, and if they want to weaponize it, they can say, you know what, America, we're not going to send you to these meds because America companies are so reliant uh, on producing these different medicines in China instead of in the States. And whatever, you know, that's just one example. I mean, you have so many examples with um with the chip shortages. Okay, so the list goes on, and they're obviously going to have to reevaluate stuff. You also have countries, like I said, I think I've told you guys, it's called, remember this, it's called the BRIC nations. B for Brazil, R for Russia, I for India, C for China, and you could almost say S because Saudi Arabia is probably might join because, imagine Biden calls Saudi Arabia and OPEC nations to produce more oil. They don't even pick up his call. And Saudi Arabia invites Xi Jinping, who I call the Emperor of China, because I think pretty much he has that position for life, right? And they're an new expanding empire, basically. So to Saudi Arabia, where they're considering accepting the yuan instead of US dollars. Okay. And if that happens, basically that's a wealth transfer because it's going to strengthen the yuan in ways that it's going to hurt the influence that the United States have. And so you have these BRIC countries where they're trying to think about what they're going to do outside the dollar. Okay, because you saw what happened to the Russian oligarchs. They're freezing their accounts internationally. They're out there taking their yachts, right? And if you're Saudi Arabia and you're one of the higher level princes, that can happen to you. And some of these other countries are seeing what's happening to Russia and their oligarchs. And they're like, well, if that can happen to us, we shouldn't be relying on the US dollar, the SWIFT system. And who do you think they're going to run to? They're going to run to China because China has their own SWIFT system, even though it's not nearly as widely used as the US SWIFT system. Okay. So now you're going to have agreements, and you're going to have countries choosing sides. All right. And, it's going to be tough because China and India, I mean, what are they? Like over 25% of the world's population, 25%, and they're going to be on the same side of this. Okay. So, shoot, man, it's not going to be, this is not easy. All right. It looks bad. Honestly, I grew up in the States. I love the States. Really, I should be US biased because I am, but U.S. bias wanting America to win doesn't mean I'm U.S. stupid. You get what I'm saying? You just got to you got to take the bias out. You got to take the emotion, the feelings, all of that out. You got to look at the past history. Remember, the further you look to the left, the further you look into the history, the further you can look into the future, the right. The more you know about the more you know the details of history, the more you'll know the details of what is to happen. Okay? Remember, history never repeats itself exactly the same, but it rhymes. All right? And it's not looking good. So just keep all of that in mind, okay? Now let's keep going. According to Larry Fink, even before the war, several governments had been considering the role of regulatory framework of digital currency. Even the U.S. Federal Reserve has been studying the meaning of digital dollar in the future. He then argued the thoughtfully designed global digital payment system will be able to improve external transaction settlement while reducing the risk of money laundering and corruption. That is true. The reason why that is because if you have a digital dollars and you take out paper money, what happens is the government knows everything you spent your money on, when you spent it, on what you spent it, because it is all on the blockchain, right? One thing people like about the blockchain is you can't change the information when it is inside and logged into the blockchain. Well, now the government's going to have all your information. And it is true, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, it doesn't really matter if they know your information, but it does matter in the sense that they can use how you choose to spend your money against you in the future. So imagine, like, maybe you drink too much coffee. Maybe even though it's legal, you can rightfully smoke cigarettes. Well, what's going to happen is the government might call you and be like, hey, you drank too much coffee today. Maybe you bought too much alcohol, or you play too many games at the, uh, you know, PC Cafe, or you did that. And what's going to happen is maybe you want to get health insurance. You want to something like that. They're going to look at your spending habits through the digital dollar or digital yuan or the digital anything, because they're doing that in China now. And what's going to happen is they're going to see how you spend your money, and all of a sudden maybe they won't your insurance is going to go up. Maybe the government will classify you in another category of citizens where, this person lives like this, so we're going to put him in category B. And category B means that. You live like that, you're in category C. Category C means that. You guys understand what I'm saying? So it's not about doing anything illegal or legal. That is not about the whole illegal situation. It's about they're gonna use your information, and tell you the truth, they're gonna use it on your political views, right? They're gonna say, well, I just like they can monitor your phone. Let's say they're legally allowed to monitor your phone and see what you're looking at, and they'll see what kind of political views you have. Well, money speaks more than money. speaks more than just talking. They'll see how you spend your money, who you donated to, or who you basically kind of what side political you might lean towards based on how you spend your money, and then that's going to affect maybe your credit report. All of that. Yeah, that's crazy. So you're going to have no freaking privacy. All right? And so yeah, that's a scary thing, but of course governments love it because they love having all the information on you. But once again, you got to be careful of all that, because for people like you and I, in the Koch family, yeah, we're not doing anything illegal. We just hardworking people just trying to survive. But we like our privacy, and we don't want our health insurance or our credit when we want to get a loan from the bank or any of that, or we don't want to be classified in a certain category based on our spending habits, which they're going to be able to monitor every bit of that if they take away all currencies and we can only spend money on the blockchain, digital currencies. Keep that in mind. And that's why if this happens for digital platforms with cryptocurrencies like KOK-PLAY, it's gonna actually support and boost KOK-PLAY and other platforms like it, because we want our privacy and we want to be able to spend our hard-earned currency the way we want with privacy, and we'll be able to do that on the KOK-PLAY platform. You get what I'm saying? Unless governments will push platforms to release that data as well. But I think governments will fight, and not all governments will do this. But once again, yeah, I think we'll have more protection and safety and privacies and platform currencies than government issued digital currencies. Now, let's keep going. BlackRock CEO Larry Pink said BlackRock is also studying digital currency, stablecoins, and basic technologies for customer service. The war in Ukraine will also have a major impact in the energy and raw material markets, obviously, just yeah, which will eventually accelerate the transition to green energy, he said. Okay, fair enough. The central bank is now facing a difficult choice as to whether to move forward with high inflation or slow down economic activity. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you look at past history, instead of slowing down economic activity, they tend to just go with high inflation. If they have an option to break the economy and go through a depression, as to just print more money or go to the keyboard and hit one and a whole bunch of zeros and hit enter and just make money into existence, they tend to print money. They just go to the keyboard, press one, hit a whole bunch of zeros, and hit enter. Okay, so I'm just telling you that once again, if you want to know what's going to happen in the future or the likelihood of what's going to happen in the future, you should just look to the past. All right, that'll help you. We are in a dilemma that we have not experienced in decades due to geopolitical conflicts and energy shocks. So that's from BlackRock. Now, what I want to tell you about BlackRock is, hold on, here, BlackRock, they manage over $10 trillion in assets. $10 trillion in assets, okay? So you just read something from the CEO, Larry Fink. Well, that should, yeah, that should mean something. Now, here's some good news. Ray Dalio said he held some Bitcoin. Well, good for Ray Dalio. Now, Bridgewater is reportedly preparing to back a crypto fund for the first time. And for some, for Bridgewater to, consider, that actually tells you that you're going to have huge institutional investors. They're preparing. Some probably are, under the table or whatever, secretly disguised or whatever, where they are in the crypto space. But, Ray Dalio, man, he's ahead of the game. I mean, look, His most recent book, Principles for Dealing with Change with the Changing World Order, right? If you look, I finished that book, okay? Right now, I'm taking a master's course, but when I finish that, I'm going to go ahead and finish this fourth turning. I highly recommend everyone read it or go to Audible and listen to the Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. And, you know, right now it doesn't look good for the States, okay? I love the stateside, I love America, but, I mean, to be honest, it is going more downhill than up. Um, so, however, anyway, with Ray Dalio, you have big institutional investors, considering going into the crypto space to fund it, um, or invest in it in crypto assets. Obviously, that obviously looks good for KOK-PLAY. All right. And once again, if you look at KOK-PLAY has has investors. Okay, lots of investors. KOK-PLAY is linked to the city of Busan, second biggest city in South Korea. And just everything about KOK-PLAY just sounds success. It looks good. All right. So, I mean, I tell you what, I made a video before where when uh there were before, like, you had highways, gas stations, all of that. You had like 200 different car companies, and most of them all fell off, right? And Ford managed to survive. Why? Because when cars were first um, invented and were produced, they didn't have the infrastructure to support cars. They didn't have the roads. They didn't have the highways. They didn't have the gas stations. They didn't have places where you could fix your car if your car broke down. The infrastructure was not set up. But now that the infrastructure is all set up, if uh, you manufacture a high quality car for a reasonable price, you're gonna be okay, right? Even though there's a lot of competition, there's a lot more. Whatever, you might have probably more than 200 car companies now. Who knows, right? So it's the same thing with the crypto space. But when you look at KOK-PLAY is building the infrastructure, literally. Okay, they're making more. They're working on making more and more use case, more utility for the currency of the platform. They're developing the platform so, to make a metaverse, all of that. Just they're building the infrastructure, and they have the backing, the support, rather as government support, um, through city and what and more. Just you have government backing, you have financial backing, you have talent backing, you have the software engineers backing, you got the hardware engineers backing, you have the KOK-PLAY family all over the world supporting. I mean, just you have just everything looks positive for KOK-PLAY. All right, so a lot of these crypto blockchain companies are their assets or platforms going to go to zero. It's going to disappear. But KOK-PLAY, in my personal opinion, is going to be a survivor. It's going to, I mean, man, it's just going to be amazing. It's an amazing future for KOK-PLAY. Now, remember, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm into KOK-PLAY. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I give you the reasons why. All right, so you do whatever you want to do. So there you have it. That's the news for today. Everyone stay safe out there. Please prepare for what could be a tough, not just a tough 2022, but a tough 2023. Going into a tough 2024. Okay? So please, better safe than sorry. You want to prepare. You want to prepare. Okay? Um, yeah, so, you want to store up some food, dry food, and water filters, depending on where you live. Or you should always have water filter. So, just yeah, you want to just think about what would you need if the supply chains or the food prices went so high, what do you need? What kind of food would you need to help you survive for months or even longer? Just think of it like that, okay? I'm just saying. So, I'm not trying to like fear monger. I'm just saying you should prep up. All right. You should realistically just think inflation's going to get worse and food shortages will get worse. All right. So please prepare, stay safe, and yeah, please take good physical care of yourself. Please take good mental care of yourself. Please take good spiritual care of yourself. All right. If you are depressed, you're suicidal, or anything like that, leave a message. I would love to respond back if I see it. Okay. I'm still on freaking YouTube ban because, communist YouTube. That's what I call them. That's how I feel about them. Um, yeah, they just want to censor everything, because it seems like they are politically driven than uh, economically or business driven, or free speech driven. Obviously, they're not that, in my opinion. So they've shown that, um, from what I see. Anyway, so yeah, so I have to upload this video on the other channel, but eventually, when I'm no longer on Facebook ban on my original uh, channel, then I would probably download all these videos and upload it back there again. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, that's that. Everyone, please take good care of yourselves. Okay, God bless y'all. Coke on.